Tonight we highlight an organization that's impacting young women in the community and kids in the EBR school system. How's that nutrition working out for them? We got the scoop. See what I did there? Talking about the school system, the head man is on the desk and we'll talk with him. Roll it, Kyle. Can you believe it's March already? What is happening with this year? Well, let's get into it. Dr. Narcisse is here with us in studio and here to talk about what's happening with the EBR school system. Got a couple segments today, one with you and one about the nutrition of the school kids. And I got to say, I'm impressed about that one. We'll get to that one later on. I walked into the studio and was blown away. But first up, let's talk about where the district is right now. So you've been here a while. You're not brand new anymore. So how are we doing?
No, we're doing pretty good. I mean, we're super excited. You know, we've been working really hard for the last 2 years. So a lot of things are already, the fruits of our labor are already starting to show. We've increased about 1,000 seats for early childhood education already, and that's from the ages of 0 to 4. We got about 6,000 plus in our network of students. Just the other day, we released 9th grade on-track scores. Kids were, when we started, was 67% of the kids were on track in 9th grade. Now it's 87%, unheard of. As you know, if you're off track in the 9th grade, your chances to graduate from high school diminish 4 times.
How have you been able to do that?
So we did what we call actual 9th grade academies. So if you go to the schools, is where you create an opportunity for kids in the 9th grade to have a subset of experiences through cohorts. And so because they are within those cohorts, they can have conversations, engage with more counseling. We've had more coordinators that help support them, like success coaches, you can call them academy pathway folks. And also we've had decreased amount of counselors in school, which have helped kids to connect more with adults. The other part that's been super helpful is, you know, we made a requirement with our Pathways a Bright Future, where we required kids to take either an advanced placement class, an industry-based certification, or dual enrollment class. We started off with about just approximately around 2,000 kids at that time that were a part of that out of 10,000 high school kids. Now the number is 6,000.
That's fantastic.
So it's unheard of what's happening right now in our school system.
You know, it's interesting because you're always so optimistic about where we're going. Do you think the pushback that you got initially has diminished? Or is it about the, you smile like that. Has it diminished some?
Well, you know, I don't call it pushback, I call it love. But, you know, the reality when you're trying to, you know, make change to help get a system to, for a community to be able to accept that, but there's so much more that we can do. You know, there's always going to be some sets of challenges because you're trying to not only make sure you get enough information out, but you're also trying to bring people in. I mean, there's a lot of things that we've had to learn, you know, on how we work through with the community, feedback, and also push a little bit the community, say, hey, kids can get so much more, so much better, right? And I think that just is a part of the process in schools. I mean, EBR, we are always in the state of Louisiana should be trendsetters. We're the capital city. There's a lot of great things that we have in terms of resources that other parishes do not have. And so, you know, it's a matter of us taking advantage of that, and that's what we've done.
You've got a millage coming up next month, I think on August 29th. It's a renewal of an existing millage that is a big part of your fund for the school district. Let's talk a little bit about that.
You know, so yes, we are excited to see that. We hope that this millage passed. Without the millage, 28% less property tax funding for the next 10 years. The millage will support programs, class sizes, staffing, extracurricular activities. All those things will be significantly impacted if we don't have it. And the millage renewals are not an increase in the current tax.
It's an extension of what currently exists right now.
That is correct.
For the school system, what is the one thing that people should know about this if it isn't? I mean, you talked about the percentages, but bring it home to people. What do you lose if this isn't extended?
Yeah, I mean, it'll impact in a lot of ways, from programs to salaries for staff. I mean, it'll hit very hard for us for the next couple of years, and so it's really important. Now, one of the things we're working on tremendously is to increase the salaries for all staff in the schools, and we have to do that to stay competitive and also to keep teachers in the classroom.
I got about a little over a minute here. What is your goal for this year? As you finish this current school year, what's #1 on your list?
Yeah, #1 is to keep kids on track. I mean, right now, a lot of our data is showing, progression. More kids are reading. We're improving tremendously with kids with after-school program. We have summer programs we're going to be doing. So we want to be able to see kids finish up strong so they can go into the groove into the summer and into the next year. We put a lot of wraparound programs like elementary sports, community service. We work with the Baton Rouge Area Youth Network, where it's 60 nonprofit groups helping us support kids. In the summertime, we're going to be extending summer school in terms of the time of day. And so right now it's trying to finish to pivot into summer. You know, we never stop. People don't see that. They think, you know, once the end of the year it's done. So.
Well, look, Nicola Hall is going to be here in the last segment. I want you to stick around for that segment because we're going to talk about nutrition. I got a joke I've been waiting to tell about that. So everybody's watching this thing in Ukraine right now. It's been a year going on, and we're going to talk with Col David Couvillon about what's going on with that and what he believes Putin's endgame is. We'll come back and talk to the Colonel in just a moment. Stay right there. Back with Col David Couvillon, retired U.S. Marine Corps, and he's been on the show before talking about geopolitics. And Colonel was in Iraq at the fall of Baghdad, actually was placed in charge of one of the provinces in Iraq, the Wasit province, way back nearly 20 years ago. Well, 20 years ago now.
It is 20 years ago.
And a year ago last Friday, Russia launched this offensive in Ukraine, and the Colonel and I were chatting about this, and just to get some understanding, what do you think his target was, his aim is in doing this?
Putin's aim is, his overall aim is the revival of the greater Russian Empire.
Okay.
And the position of Russia as a leader in the world. And that's what he wants to do. Secondarily, he is ostensibly afraid that NATO will encroach on Russia militarily, economically, culturally, and the thing. So he wants to be able to forestall that.
So, you know, as it relates to the American public, people are watching this and wondering how involved will the U.S. get in this. We've already sent billions of dollars in relief to Ukraine. What's your expectation about how involved our country is going to be?
The current political situation seems to be that the United States will continue to fund and arm the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian military, and as a method to, if not defeat, at least stymie the Russian invasion into Ukraine. Ukraine apparently wants to maintain their borders, their people that they have had since 2014, and the United States and a number of other countries seem willing to support that.
It's amazing how much war fatigue our country still has,
Yes.
even so long. I mean, you think about for the better part of this millennium, there has been some kind of conflict that has involved us. We started, you know, with 9/11 back in 2001 and all this going on. You don't see boots on the ground from our aspect.
I don't see that. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I don't see that as a political will of the United States, either the government or the people of the United States.
Philosophically, when you look at your time in Iraq and what you've done since then, you've spoken on panels around the country about war and where we are now. What do you think the psyche of the country is as it relates to wars on other continents, and if we will ever get to a place where it will be okay for Congress to send our men and women into combat somewhere else?
Given the conversations I've had with a number of people and looking at the commentary on the news shows, I don't think the American people, they're not particularly worried about what goes on in other countries, and other countries should be responsible for themselves. That's what I'm hearing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. With that, the United States has responsibilities around the world, and for the United States economy to maintain itself, it has to be involved in other things around the world. Mm-hmm. And that may include warfare in some form or fashion.
Well, in May, we're going to be doing the 9th edition of Smoke 'em If You Got 'em, a fundraiser we've been doing for 9 years, and there's a big debate about it, but I'm going to save it. We're not going to do this right here, right now. Let me just say he's wrong. His position is not accurate, but it's going to be on Sunday, May 21st.
Bring me on as an expert and tell me I'm wrong. There you go.
No, you're right about Ukraine. You're just wrong about the origins of our event. But Coop has been a big part of that, man, and without getting into it right now, it's always a great time when we do that thing. And
Yeah,
so,
it is.
But we'll tell that story, and we'll let the viewing audience decide who was right and who was wrong.
We got that.
All right, there's a great organization impacting young women here in the Capital Region, and we're going to talk with the founder and a couple of the people a part of it. And then the nutrition system at the school system. They've got food here in the studio with us, and I'm just blown away by it. And we'll tell you about both of those things coming up next. Give me 2 minutes. So let's see if I could do this right, okay? So you guys know Sashika already. She's been on the show. We have Anaya.
Yes.
Sydney.
Yes, sir.
Estrella.
Yes, sir.
Okay, whew, that's what I was worried about. Sash, OMG, these young ladies are a part of your organization. So for someone who's never heard of OMG, what is it?
Outstanding Mature Girls Organization is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And I would say that we are the #1 organization for young girls in Louisiana. We teach leadership skills, life skills, value, and of course, advocate for wellness and mental health.
You know, the community thing is something you and I've talked about for a while. You've been in this for a long time. How old is OMG?
OMG is actually 10.
10 years old?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, this year.
So it's been 10 years you've been hitting me up for money for?
Yes, that's right.
So,
10 whole years,
so
whole
we
decade.
have pictures from OMG, things that you've sent me. You guys were recently in New Jersey.
Yes.
Right? For what? Tell me why you were in New Jersey, Anaya.
We were in New Jersey to meet new kids, and we went to the hub, and we met kids that went through trauma and stuff, and the hub was like a safe space for the kids to be at where they felt safe.
So how long have you been a member of OMG?
I lost track of time, but I've been here since 2016.
And Anaya, were you in New Jersey as well?
Yes, sir, I was. I enjoyed myself a lot.
What's the best thing about being a member of OMG?
I think the best thing about being a member of OMG is the sisterhood, because it's like even if you're not even if you're not doing every single event, or you're meeting all the girls who are in the group, it's like everyone comes together to build a family. Like I can call up Alexis, Anaya's sister, and be like, hey, can you help me with something, and she'll be quick to come to the response. So I love the sisterhood that OMG builds. You know,
Estrella is not mic'd, and she's here kind of in support of her sisters and OMG. What's the main thing you want to accomplish with the interaction with these young ladies?
I want the young ladies to be able to use their voices. Being that my background is radio broadcasting, I want to be able to allow them to be able to speak their thoughts and speak clearly about issues that may affect them as youth. So that's the thing. And then leaders, become leaders. I want them to pass me up pretty much, and that right there will be a sign of success for OMG.
I think there has been a concerted effort in the last maybe decade to invest more in young women from an education standpoint to a self-worth standpoint, and I think that's worthwhile work. Where would you grade where we are in that right now as a society?
Just recently, just kind of reading some stories about how mental health is affecting young girls. It's something that we need to make sure that we have organizations like OMG to be there for our girls and to tell them about their worth and let them know how to cope and teach them skills that they may need to just deal with the things that they're dealing with right now.
Before, I have a follow-up question about that, but I also have to ask, what about for young men, right? Because you had so many of these young men who are walking around with, and I got a chance to speak at the school systems awards banquet earlier this week, and I talked about kids who have scars that you can't see on the outside. And a lot of these young men have issues like that, but there's no outlet to be able to get them to deal with it. What do we do for young men? Because we need something for both. What do we do for young men?
I know they could probably speak about their experience.
All right.
While we were at the Hub, which is an Arts and Trauma Healing Center, we recognized that a lot of the demographic at the Hub, which stands for also Help Us Become Better, it was mostly young men who were there. A lot of them have been through legal trouble, family troubles, trouble at school, and we realized that while we were there, we want to do the same thing here, but also for young men as well. Like OMG, it's a safe space for girls, and there are many safe spaces for girls, thankfully, that are coming about an uprising in Louisiana, but unfortunately, a lot of young men don't see that. And I think that using the arts as a way to cope with what they've been going through would be a great, solution to what they may be facing at home, because they can't express their emotions as much as they'd like to because of the stigma in society.
How would you ask the public to support what you are doing outside of money, because I do want them to support you financially, but what else would you like to have the public do to support y'all?
I want them to speak up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just put y'all on the spot. Go ahead, Anaya. How can the public support y'all?
The public could support us by showing up, giving us tips, and listening to our voices as young girls, and having OMG in school so y'all can actually hear how the kids feel, what y'all could do to help us in the school system, and just different stuff.
I believe, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I believe that a lot of adults look at young kids as just like, a problem, just something to be cast aside. But when they actually sit back and not only listen, but actually try to understand what we're saying and think back to when they were a teen, when they were growing up, I think they'll realize that we have a lot more to offer and a lot more knowledge that is very wise and valuable.
Where can people, I know, it's like going in the time machine back to Word Up. So where can people reach you? I got about 20 seconds. How can they find out where you are?
So they can go on our website, OMG, Outstanding Mature Girls with a Z.org.
All right. Col Narcisse asked for one of those shirts. He better not get one of these. OMG. Speaking of Dr. Narcisse, he'll be with us in our next segment as well as we talk about school nutrition. Stay right there. So, I was contacted by the school system about the nutritional changes made at EBR, and Nicola Hall, who's been on the show before, told me she wanted me to be able to see and hear about what y'all are doing at EBR schools. And I'm walking into Studio A this morning, and I see what's over across the set, and I'm thinking, okay. So let's start at the beginning. And you see Dr. Narcisse is still here. I got some grief to give him in just a little while, but I want to start with the serious stuff first. What catalyzed this change? What made you want to do this?
We love kids.
Okay.
So
all right.
Dr. Narcisse, he's a champion for change, right? And he's a transformational leader. And coming in, came from New York City. In New York City public schools, there is a regional chef per borough.
Okay.
And we're a melting pot. Well, in New York City is a melting pot of different cultures. And it's always great to be able to incorporate the different cultures in cuisine, right? So when I came here, I was like, oh my God, this is an opportunity.
She said cuisine.
Yes.
Listen, first of all, in Baton Rouge, that right there, we can stop the segment right there. I'm just saying. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. So coming here and seeing the opportunity, in Louisiana, no other school district is doing anything that we're doing. We are a trendsetter, and we want to set the trend, and we are going to win the Super Bowl, all right? So the whole point is, let's see what we could do for kids, not just on the educational side, but also nutrition, right? We could do a lot of great things. So let's start with, we already started in the high school serving lattes, cold and hot for high school kids. Kids love coffee, right? In addition to that, let's start off with some chefs. Change the menu, revamp how we do business, focus on customer service, food presentation. Bam, here we go. That's from Emily Lagasse, if you ever know him.
I know him. I interviewed him one time. So, Dr. Narcisse, I got to give you a little bit of credit. He's got a mic on over there across the set from me. Every time we've had lunch, you'd even pick up the tab, but the kids over at EBR schools are they're doing pretty well. This is good, man. I'm proud to see this. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so we're super excited, and I'll let the chefs talk through, but the big thing, as you heard Nicholas said, was, we wanted to do stuff specifically for kids and also get kids feedback on doing a lot of pieces with like customer service and all these pieces. And so one of the comments that we got when kids were saying, they were like, listen, can the lunches be better? And I'm sitting there saying, we were like, wait a minute, we are in Louisiana. This is like the eating capital of the world, right?
That's right.
So why are we not giving kids a little bit better lunch? And so there's a lot of opportunities that we have for that. And so as Nicholas said, we started talking about shifting the model, and she started putting in place, and we have these great chefs. They are great chefs from here who've done some great things. And
introduce our chefs. I know Chef Maria is going to talk, but let's talk about, introduce the chefs.
I am Chef Maria Newman.
And who's with you? He doesn't have a mic on. Just tell us.
Oh, sorry, and this is Chef James Porter.
All right, let's talk about what's on the island there that these kids are eating. Tell me about that, Chef Maria.
So these are some new items that we will be debuting in the fall here we have new breakfast items. These are pancake on the stick. We have a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, and then we also have breakfast parfaits going to be served at breakfast and lunch, actually, healthier alternative. And then avocado toast. It's one of the trendier food items that we're going to be having next year.
Wow. Hey, Dina, bring me that parfait, please. So let's talk. And somebody, you got a spoon over there. I'm not joking. Bring me that parfait. I think we talked about this on a serious note. There are a lot of kids who only really get solid food or good meals when they come to school. That is a reality of some kids in poor situations. That's why this is so important. Something you said to me earlier, and I really want to reiterate that and give Dr. Narcisse his kudos on this. These are not new realities to places outside of Louisiana.
Exactly.
It's a new reality here.
Yes.
And we don't have to get into why it took so long to get to this point, but with what Dr. Narcisse has done and what the district is doing, what do you hope the outcome will be with kids eating a more healthy lunch or breakfast or whatever?
So and not only just to expose your palate to different types of foods, but also to increase participation rates in the school system. We want more kids to enjoy our meals, and not only just the meals, but the customer service. We're a community, and we are a family. When you go to a fine dining restaurant, you get the entire thing. A piece of steak is like $150, but you get customer service that goes with it, and we have to tie all of that into it. As part of Dr. Narcisse's motto, he always likes to reference to nothing is impossible, right? So we could do a lot of things here in EBR. The potential is great, and the energy's here, and why not capitalize on it now by just changing the way we eat?
And this is in all of the schools?
We're starting off with the high school, so we changed the menus for K through 8 and the high school. So currently we only have one menu for all kids, all grade levels. So now in the new school year, it's going to be K through 8 and then 9 through 12.
When do you expect it to cover the entire, 41 schools?
Yes. So we are full launch first day of school, which is August of 2023.
Okay, so later this year.
Of course, we're going on strong.
That is impressive. I only have one question. Where is my parfait? So listen, how can people learn more about what's happening at the school system?
So definitely you could visit our website, or you could send us an email, or send me an email in hall1@ebrschools.org, and I would definitely love to have a conversation. And if you're part of the Teacher Advisory Council, we're having a taste testing also with the Teacher Advisory Council and the Parent Advisory Council, because we want the community to be excited about what we're doing.
When is that?
That's once a month, every Wednesday, every first Wednesday of every month. Yes.
Okay. Not bad, Doc. Not bad.
Yes.
Next week, Chief Murphy Paul will be here to talk about his recent TED Talk and what's happening in the community and the curious case of Michael Irvin. Are you familiar with what's happening with the former Cowboys wide receiver? Pretty interesting. We'll talk about that next week. I'm going to get my parfait. Y'all have a great one.